Two people retire on the same day. They have identical earnings histories. They paid into Social Security for the same number of years. The first person files at 62. The second waits until 70. By their late 80s, the person who waited has collected roughly $600,000 more. That number is not speculation. It comes from running real Social Security formulas against historical cost of living data for a high-earning married household with realistic longevity assumptions. The difference does not come from luck or the stock market. It comes from a single filing decision. This is the math behind that decision. Social Security gives every worker a window to claim retirement benefits. The window opens at 62. It closes, in terms of any additional reward for waiting, at 70. There are no credits for delaying past 70. Your base benefit is called the primary insurance amount. The Social Security Administration calculates it from your 35 highest earning years. That amount is what you receive if you claim at full retirement age. Full retirement age is 67 for most Americans today. Benefits claimed before 67 are permanently reduced because every month of early filing triggers a small permanent cut. The reduction accumulates to about 30% of your base amount. The maximum benefit is reached at 70, where the monthly check becomes permanently elevated. That maximum represents an increase of about 24% above full retirement age. The full spread between both extremes is roughly 54% of your base benefit, which compounds into a very large number over a lifetime. Each year of delay past 67 adds to your monthly check. That additional credit is 8% per year. Let us start with the early claiming path. The average full retirement age benefit in recent years has been roughly $1,900 per month. Claim at 62 and that benefit drops permanently. The new monthly amount is about $1,300 per month. That is a meaningful reduction. The gap comes to roughly $600 every single month for life. But here is the argument for claiming early. You collect 8 years of payments before the delayed claimer receives a single dollar. Those accumulated payments total roughly $125,000, which represents a genuine and significant head start. That money is not imaginary, as many households rely on it as a real income source. About a third of Social Security recipients currently file at 62. That is not ignorance, because healthcare is expensive and mortgage payments do not stop for anyone. Some workers lose their jobs before they exhaust their savings. The decision to claim early is often made out of genuine need, not miscalculation, and there is at least one scenario where claiming early is the mathematically correct answer, which we will address in the full simulation. But the math shifts significantly the longer a person lives. Now consider the person who waits. A worker with a full retirement age benefit of $1,900 per month receives a significantly larger check by delaying. A worker who delays until 70 sees a noticeably bigger monthly payment. The check comes to roughly $2,300 per month. That monthly advantage is roughly $450, and it is permanent, growing with cost of living adjustments every year afterward. The break-even question follows immediately. The early claimer collected roughly $125,000 during those years of waiting. How long does the recovery take? The monthly advantage is $450. At that rate, the delayed claimer recovers the foregone payments in about 23 years of collecting. Break-even arrives at roughly age 80. Anyone who lives past 80 generally comes out ahead by waiting. Anyone who passes before 78 generally comes out ahead by claiming early. About half of all current retirees who file at 62 will outlive that break-even age. For those people, the delayed strategy would have produced more total income. But aggregate statistics only tell part of the story. The full picture requires running the numbers for a specific household, because the optimal decision is almost never about the individual in isolation. We modeled a high-earning household to trace the full scope of the difference. The primary earner has a full retirement age benefit of $3,800 per month. That is near the upper range for someone who spent several decades at above average wages. Under the early claiming path, the primary earner files at 62, which locks in a permanently reduced benefit. The starting monthly amount is about $2,600 per month. Under the delayed claiming path, the primary earner waits until 70, which locks in the maximum permanent benefit. The starting monthly amount rises to about $4,700 per month. The monthly gap between both strategies is roughly $2,100. Now project both paths forward, using a cost of living adjustment of 2.5% per year. For the early claiming path, we assume both individuals live to 90. The total amounts to 28 years of payments at the reduced rate. The starting monthly benefit is $2,600, while inflation adjustments add to it each year. The cumulative lifetime total is approximately $1.3 million. For the delayed claiming path, the lifespan assumption stays the same. The delayed path generates 20 years of payments at the higher rate. The starting monthly benefit is $4,700, while the same annual inflation adjustment applies. The cumulative lifetime total is approximately $1.5 million. For the primary earner alone, the lifetime gap to age 90 is substantial. The difference amounts to roughly $200,000. That is significant, but it is not the $600,000 we mentioned at the start. The rest of the gap comes from adding a spouse. The spouse of a high earner is entitled to a spousal benefit equal to 50% of the primary earner's full retirement age benefit. For our modeled household, that full spousal benefit is $1,900 per month at the spouse's full retirement age. If both spouses file at 62, the spousal benefit gets permanently reduced. It falls to about $1,200 per month. If the primary delays and the spouse claims at full retirement age, the spousal benefit stays at its full level. That is $1,900 per month instead. The difference in spousal benefits adds up over roughly 23 years of collection. That cumulative spousal gap adds approximately $165,000 to the total. Now add the survivor benefit. When a spouse dies, the surviving partner keeps the higher of the monthly checks. If the primary earner filed early, the survivor inherits the reduced benefit, which is about $2,600 per month. A primary earner who waited until 70 bequeaths a much larger survivor benefit. That maximum amount comes to about $4,700 per month. That monthly survivor gap is roughly $2,100. For a spouse who outlives the primary earner by a decade, that difference adds over $200,000 in total survivor payments. Add all three components together. The primary earner's own lifetime difference is roughly $200,000. The spousal benefit gap adds about $165,000. The survivor benefit for the longer-lived partner adds over $200,000 more. For a high-earning couple with realistic longevity, the total approaches or exceeds $600,000. The break-even math rests on conditions that are never guaranteed. Health is the first condition. If you have a serious chronic illness or a family history of early death, the calculation changes entirely. There is no financial reward for leaving money uncollected if you are not there to collect it. Income need is the second condition. If you retire without a pension, without investment income, and without a savings buffer, the decision is straightforward. You claim because you must, and that is a perfectly legitimate choice. The tax situation is the third variable. Up to 85% of Social Security benefits can become taxable depending on combined household income. Single filers with combined income above $34,000 per year owe taxes on a portion of their benefit. High earners who delay often have substantial investment income in their early retirement years. That income combined with a larger Social Security check can push more of the benefit into taxable territory than a smaller early check would. Healthcare coverage before Medicare is the fourth variable. Medicare eligibility begins at 65. Retiring before then means bridging that gap without employer coverage, which can cost $40,000 or more for a couple. That cost belongs in any honest calculation of the benefit of delaying Social Security. Social Security claiming is one of the few financial decisions that is nearly permanent. After collecting for 12 months, you cannot reverse the choice and restart at a higher amount. The monthly number you accept on the day you file follows you for the rest of your life, adjusted only by inflation. The math strongly favors waiting for those who are healthy and have other income during their early 60s. Break-even arrives around age 80 for the average earner. Every year you live past that point, the gap widens. By the late 80s, it is substantial. For high-earning couples with above-average longevity, the total lifetime gap can reach or exceed $600,000. That number comes not just from the primary earner's own benefit, but from the compounding effect on spousal payments and the survivor benefit that protects the longer-lived partner. Those who benefit most from delaying tend to share common traits. They are in good health, they have income sources available in their early 60s, they have a spouse to consider, and they have strong earnings histories. If none of those apply, filing at 62 is a reasonable calculation with a different set of inputs. Social Security is not a single correct answer. It is a system that rewards knowing which questions to ask before you file. The gap between earliest and latest claiming is not really about time. It is a permanent trade-off between a smaller check now and a much larger check later. For the right household, that trade is worth $600,000. If this breakdown helped clarify the decision, share it with someone who is approaching retirement. The best time to run this math is a decade before you need to file, not a month before. Every dollar has a story. Subscribe to see more of them. Drop your scenario in the comments and we will run the numbers.